So last night I set out to learn a little bit more about corner pressure because these games are a lot about identifying your weaknesses and then deciding whether you're going to fix them or not. And luckily, because we're living in 2023, all you have to do is go on YouTube and type in Street Fighter V corner pressure guide and an MC Mura video will pop up and you can take a look at it. I'm going to show you the two things that I really pulled away from it that helped me start winning a little bit more, or at least get my pressure better, right? I was very happy with how I was playing, even if I wasn't winning today. Let me hop in training mode and show you real quick. Well, that's all loading up. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subs before Street Fighter 6 comes out. I think a lot of people are setting sub goals before Street Fighter 6 comes out. So I'm sure you're tired of hearing about this. But yeah, if you enjoy or if this video helps you by the end, please consider subscribing. So I've talked about this spacing before. I made a whole video on this about standing under the timer. You can see there where there's a little infinity symbol. It's usually where the numbers are counting down. And when you have somebody in the corner, this is a great place to stand because you can check a dash, you can anti-air, you can whiff punish from here if they're like throwing buttons out trying to get out of the corner. It's a very advantageous state to be in to stop all of their counterattacks to get out of the corner. The other state to be in the corner that is very powerful for you is point blank. And this is probably obvious for a lot of people, but if you play like me, which is very calm, very passive, very safe, this is not a spacing that you use to its full advantage because you're scared to be here. It takes a lot of confidence to play this close to somebody. Let's just be honest, right? I feel like in the FGC, people don't like to admit weakness, or they don't like to admit the fact that they're not good at something. I would be the first to admit that I'm not good at playing at the spacing. It's something that I'm trying to learn, and I feel like I'm getting better at. And there's nothing inherently scary about being right here. It's just, I feel like online has conditioned a lot of us to expect the opponent to do something when you're this close, right? I could press like a +3 button or something, and if I mess up the timing on the second one, or the stagger, or I stagger too long, a DP is going to come out, or super is going to come out, or they're going to do something crazy, right? That's what I've been conditioned to think. So when I play this close, I'm always overly cautious. I'm always looking for them to do something insane and like crush counter me and to take a bunch of damage, right? You just can't play like that. You can't play with that much fear in your heart when you are the one with the advantage. You have to have confidence to play at this range, right? It is a necessity, especially in a character like Cammy, but just in general, you have to take your advantage and not be scared of what they could do. Let's talk a little bit about what happens at this range now. So you can always tick throw. That was a messed up tick throw, but you can tick throw. You can shimmy, right? You can shimmy like this, get some good out of that. And then you can frame trap, you know? And usually if you frame trap, it'll leave you at this spacing, which is not quite under the timer like we were talking about. It's kind of like a crouch medium punch range. And in the MC Mura video, he was saying that this range is kind of a trap, right? Because you feel like you still have an advantage, and then the opponent just cross-up jumps out of the corner, and now you have to cross-cut them, or they just get out, right? And even if you do cross-cut them, they're still out of the corner. So that's why you will see players, if they end in a frame trap that leaves them somewhere around this range, they'll just take a step back, and then they'll be under the timer, and they can anti-air and stop them from getting out of the corner. The other misconception that I had about this area, playing under the timer, is that I would just sit here, you know? Like, I would just I would just sit here and try and react to whatever's going to happen. You don't have to do that. You can walk back and forth, throw a poke out, try and bait something, maybe do like 2 stand medium kicks and then a low to try and catch them walking back or forward. You can still poke and prod them, you know? I like to think of it like an animal in a cage, right? And like poking it with a stick and like getting angry, and they might swing at you, or they might throw a fireball. They might leave themselves open to an opportunity out of frustration because they're trying to get out of the corner. Oh, one more thing before I forget. When you're at this spacing, you can also reset your pressure, right? That's when you see people like dash in, or maybe do light kick to mask their dash, then they dash in, or they jump, or Cammy can like dive kick, or you just slowly walk in and you do like a little shimmy, or you just walk up to them because they're waiting for a button. That's kind of up to you and how your opponent responds to your pressure. Is like how you decide how you're going to reset it, right? Or if you're even going to reset it at all. Sometimes against really wild people, you could just sit here and they'll start whiffing buttons, or like doing run stops on Ken and stuff, right? Sometimes you don't need to reset the pressure, but if they're sitting there not really doing anything and you see an opportunity to get back in, you can use your tools to get back in. Then after that, after I like went in training mode and figured out the spacing, figured out what I wanted to do at each spacing, I watched an unhealthy amount of NL's replays, like a stalkerish amount of NL's replays. I was going through that man's like backlog on CFN to find where he's playing Cammy and just watching it, you know? And I feel like I learned a lot. I feel like I kind of started to adapt his playstyle into my game, not like fully, right? Because I'd be amazing if I could do it fully. But like just playing a little bit more calm and playing footsies until you don't have to play footsies, if that makes sense, right? Like I play footsies, I get a whiff punish, I get a knockdown, I go into my systemized pressure that we talked about in a previous video, and then if they're in the corner, we get a whole nother sort of like branch of pressure that we can go into, right? There's meaty pressure, and then there's normal pressure, and there's just so much to it that I never really thought about. I just kind of autopiloted into this like terrible corner game this whole time. When you watch a replay, there is a lot of factors at play. Today, we're just going to focus on what NL does when he gets a knockdown and how he pressures in the corner, right? That's really what we're focusing on, because that's what I'm working on right now. When you watch a replay, you can focus on a number of things, right? You can focus on every single hit that NL got, for example, and say, why did he press that there and why did it work? We're not going to get that deep into it. We're just going to take a look at knockdowns and pressure, because that's what I'm trying to get better at. We're going to start here with a knockdown, push Alex to the corner, and he does a little dive kick here, little dive kick reset. And the reason he does this is because he gets pushed back to that like weird spacing that we were talking about. So he does a little light kick, doesn't get his frame trap off, and Alex pushes him to that weird spacing, right? So he's not quite under the timer. He's not quite at a spacing where he could anti-air safely or like check a dash or anything like that. So instead, he goes for a dive kick, right? Pretty safe option to get back into range to fight with Alex. There he gets a hit, and he dashes immediately right back into that super advantageous state, right? We talked about this just now. This is a state where Cammy is very advantageous, where you're very advantageous in general as a player, right? Point blank. You can do a lot of things to your opponent here. This time, we'll talk about that DP in a second, but this time he took a step back, right? Because he did his little frame trap, it didn't work out, and I guess he thought Alex was going to do something, and he was right. So he gets a little heavy DP. That is very hard to do, by the way, right? He did his frame trap with the button. Actually, it looks like it was the same sequence as the first time, but this time he just takes the step back because he expects a response. That DP is very difficult, though. That's what I was talking about, is reacting to somebody jumping back in the corner. You can do something that I learned in that McMurray video yesterday, where you can throw and then buffer like a DP behind it, and the DP will come out if they jump. And if you throw, then you just throw, right? The DP doesn't come out. That's a little bit more advanced, though. Gets thrown into the corner. I think he gets the corner back. Yeah. This spacing is what I was talking about, right? You don't want to be here as Alex because he does exactly what I said. He did a crouch medium punch, and NL just jumps over him, right? Like he's at a terrible spacing because he would have to anti-air cross up, right? He just lets NL out of the corner for free, basically, by not taking a little step back. See, we're back in the corner here. Knockdown point blank is going to do a little frame trap into throw, into a tick throw. And he goes for a shimmy. Right here. That was the sequence where I was like, I think he got punished for doing the right thing. What I think he was doing here was buffering a jab. I think he was buffering a jab so that if it hit, he could go on the spiral arrow, he would build a super, and he would win the round. But the Alex player just crushes the shit out of it. And now, now he's kind of in a dire situation if the Alex player didn't make that mistake. If you notice, that round was like, what, 40, 50 seconds? And most of it was spent in that right corner. Oh, damn, he got hit by it. Now we're making our way back to that corner. Gets a knockdown. This is a weird spacing, right? So he's going to get this knockdown, but he can't double dash, right? So he's at a very awkward spacing. And then the Alex player just jumps out. And now has to try and crosscut. Gets punished for it. Didn't spend as much time in the corner this round. Still a very effective round, you know. It's all about... Oh, my goodness. It's all about fighting for the corner, you know. Sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we forget that the objective of the game is to get knockdowns and to get your opponent as close to the corner as you can. That was disgusting. This is what he was trying to do earlier. Remember when he got crush countered? He was trying to buffer a jab into like something, and he gets it right there. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you, and if it did, please consider subscribing. I'll talk to you again very soon.